Welcome, and thank you for joining us. This episode of Between Knits and Pearls. I'm Stephanie, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Farmstead Knits.
Where are you hailing from, Miss Steph?
I am from the bluegrass state of Kentucky.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Emily, and by now you know me well as Anders Mill Knits on Instagram and Ravelry. And also, just a little plug out there. Just last night, I got a little hair in my bonnet, something like that, whatever that phrase is.
Bee in my bonnet.
There we go. I was like, that does not make sense. And I went on Facebook and I created a Facebook group for Between Knits and Pearls. And I've got lots of really great ideas. Like, I don't know how to do them yet. Things like live chats and group knits in there and stuff. But I know other people do it. So I'm going to try and figure it out for us, okay?
Good deal.
So look for that in the future. And I am in Anchorage, Alaska, and I am joined by a beautiful designer and new friend of mine, Miss Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex of WeU Knits. You can find me on Instagram as WeU Knits or on Ravelry as AK Wenniger, and I am also in Anchorage, Alaska.
Thank you, Alex. We're so grateful to have you here and so freaking excited. You guys might have seen on my feed for a couple months how much I adore her. I'm just saying.
I know, I was so excited when you asked me. I'm like, oh, of course.
You were one of the first
me.
people. Yep, you were one of the first people. So, yeah, I'm so excited. So, thank you. All right, so first, I think we're going to do, what was the segment we wanted to do first, Steph?
I think we're going to go ahead and get started with Between Knits and Pearls this week. What's going on in your guys' life?
Okay, so who wants to go first? Me, you, Alex? Should we make
I'll go first. I'll jump right in. This was our official last week of online virtual school for my girls. They are so excited. This next coming Monday, they are going back to in-person school. So we are excited. We're a little bit nervous. I think mom is probably a little more nervous than anybody, but it's going to be great. They have everything in place. Everything is done well with the district, and they've really got a good plan going for making sure the kids are safe and getting the education that they need. So that's going to start next Monday. That'll be pretty fun. And spring has definitely poked its little head out in Kentucky. We are a little bit south of Lexington, and so it's getting warm. In fact, next week it potentially could be up to 70 degrees.
What?
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
I know.
Yeah.
So I have been outside prepping my garden beds. I have put some cold hardy lettuce, spinach, some cold hardy peas. Everything's in the ground right now. Hopefully it'll be okay. It should be. And then I have a lot of starts that I've put in little starting beds inside the house. So my warmer things like tomatoes and peppers and all the lettuces and good stuff. So I called Emily this week and said, hey, I'm out planting in the yard. And she said, I don't want to talk to you.
I agree.
I was so jealous.
I know.
Because Alex, you can attest to this. How many feet of snow do you think we still have on the ground? I mean, it's not even.
We were getting snow this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was that wet, stingy snow too. When I went outside with the dog, I was like, oh, no, not a day for me.
That's no fun.
No. Well,
so how about your week, Emily?
Yeah. So speaking of Watson, Bubba, come here. He's asleep now. And I was going to show him off. Hold on a second. I'm going to grab him.
Yes, the adventures of Watson this week were quite adventurous. We'll just say that. I know he had a little rough week.
Yeah, he did. So we spent Sunday night at the emergency hospital with Watson. We were at my parents' house, and he snagged his toe on their rug and ripped his nail straight from the nail bed out. I'll admit, I did not have great composure. There was a lot of blood, and it was the first time that since I had adopted Watson over 12 years ago that he'd ever been hurt like that. So I did not handle it. Yeah, I did not handle it well.
Yeah.
So we were in so they triaged him, made sure his vitals were okay. And then we had to wait 4 hours in the parking lot before he could be seen. And of course he needed to go to the bathroom at points, and it's on his hind leg. And so I'm sitting out there holding Watson's foot up so he can go pee and all this kind of stuff. So yeah. So I was telling the girls that this morning he got a good shave by Alla Mama and a good bath, and now he's exhausted and just wants to sleep. So we did that.
Well, at least he's on the mend.
Yes. And then I'm very happy about that. We've been taking very good care of him. And by the way, anybody who has dogs that have a foot owie, yeah, I just said owie. It's okay. I'm almost 40. I don't care. I had a brainstorm the Monday morning. I was thinking, how in the world am I going to get him outside in the snow without getting his cast wet? Because the doodad they gave us was literally just like a Ziploc bag, and the thing busted the first time we used it. So I went to Fred's and I picked up a 6-pack of a 0 to 12-month-old baby socks.
Smart.
And so we just put the socks on when we took him outside. We took them off so the snow would not soak in and get into his cast as soon as we got back in. And it worked perfect.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I'm actually thinking about trying that instead of, dog booties on our next walk. Because he's been convalescing. We have not been on a walk this week, but and then I got a hair up my, oh my gosh, I'm doing it again.
A bee in my bonnet.
I chased my own tail. I decided to come up with these designs of what I'm calling ear savers. And you guys will see this more in the knits section. But anyway, I made quite a lot of these. I'll tell you about that later. But anyway, and all HE double hockey sticks broke out when I posted them for sale. So if you want to know about that, you can go over to Instagram. I've got my IGTV. Yeah, that's right. IGTV video that I posted yesterday morning, Friday morning up there. And you can see all about that and the angst, and see Emily cry a little bit too.
Oh.
It's great. Yeah. And then the last little happenings is that I was interviewed by a gentleman from down south in North Carolina. His name is No Tooth Tony. And he started following me a long time ago on my Instagram feed. And he started a YouTube channel where he interviews just women focusing on their life. And he's like, I don't care if you sweep floors, if you're the president of a company, or if you're a mama. I just want to know what it's like to be a woman in this day and age. And so he has done over 180 interviews.
Wow.
And he posts interviews every single day on his YouTube channel, No Tooth Tony. And he is so incredibly sweet. We spent 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
I was exhausted afterwards, but it was great.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So that was my week in a nutshell. How about you, Miss Alex?
Oh, my week has been a blur. I've been super busy with work, but one really exciting thing is that I was able to get my COVID vaccine just this week. They opened it up so that university and government employees can get their COVID vaccine. So I got my first one. My arm was super sore. I was actually really surprised. Yeah, I couldn't even sleep on it, but definitely 100% worth it. I'm just so excited. We don't go anywhere. I never see anyone because I don't want to get anyone sick. I don't want to get sick. And I'm just super excited that my husband and I will be able to go out and have dinner hopefully soon. Yeah. Once people are vaccinated. Yeah. We won't be home all the time, and I'll remember what day we made dinner, so I'm not looking at the leftovers in the fridge like, when did I make this and can we still eat this? So I'm super excited about that.
I know, right? And I mean, I hear about yeah. And I hear about places that are opening up completely, like to 100% capacity. And I just get so nervous. And at the same time, I feel like we in Alaska are so blessed because our state government is being so incredibly proactive about getting us, but it's up to us as an individual to choose what we want to do with the invitation.
Yeah.
And so we're not going to tell you what to do here on this channel. We're just saying this is what we did, you know. And so congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. So make sure and do this dog smell test, because don't you have a dog? I thought you had a dog.
My dog passed away. I have cats. I have 2 cats.
Oh,
Okay.
It was a while ago. He passed away like 2 years ago now, but I still am like, oh, my dog just died.
yeah. That's one of my biggest fears. And honestly, that's what flashed through my head when that happened on Sunday is like my heart stuck. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do if he dies. Right.
Yeah.
But it's not life threatening. But anyway, there it is.
I had a similar thing. We were outside of this cabin. We had to take a snow machine like 10 miles to get to this friend's cabin. And someone had been fishing and left a piece of sausage on a fish hook. And my dog had tried to eat the sausage and he's chewing on this fish hook. And it went like in through his lip, into his nose. But it wasn't coming out the other side. So we couldn't just like pull it through. I'm bawling. My poor dog, he's still chewing on the sausage while it's in his nose. And, you know, we can't go anywhere for help. I'm like telling my husband, I'm like, you need to just rip it out. You need to just rip it out. And he's trying to pull it and it like wouldn't come out because of the barb. My poor dog was such a trooper. He didn't even cry. And I'm just like, I'm crying. And my friends are like, why is she crying? She's crazy. But I'm like, no.
That's rough. That's rough.
Are you serious? Why aren't you crying? Oh,
well, then, and it's funny too, because then one of them got a dog and she's like, now I get why you were crying that day.
Yeah, right? Because having a dog is like perpetually having a toddler.
Yeah.
You know? Like, cats are pretty independent, although you kind of have to watch them too. And I'm not really a cat person. But with dogs, they're just so happy about and inquisitive about everything.
Yeah.
They could literally kill themselves in a split second. They're not paying attention.
And I just have 2 of the human species, so I'm good.
Yeah.
That's almost scarier though.
Oh yeah, it is.
What if something goes wrong?
Oh yeah, it is.
Well, not only that, because they can argue back with you. They can ask
And
questions.
they do. And my 5-year-old, who's going on 25, does that. She does.
Yeah. So,
Anyways.
yeah.
So should we get into our section called Pearls?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'll start this week. We are so excited. Well, actually, maybe Emily, if you want to go first with the 500.
Yes.
We hit 500 subscribers to the Between Knits and Purls podcast. So thank you to all of you who took the time to click the link, subscribe, and to follow. We are so very thankful, and we could not be more pleased about this. So, Emily, drum roll, please.
No, actually, I'll put it in the drum roll on the thing.
Okay. Our winner is
Knitting Bandit, number 127 of our followers or subscribers.
Oh.
Yes.
Excellent. So, yes, I was going to say Knitting Bandit. If you get the opportunity and you hear this, either contact us on Instagram or leave a message down below. One of us will get back to you as soon as we can and get that prize out in the mail to you.
Yes, we're so excited about that.
Yes. So our next big push is going to be for 1,000 subscribers. And when I say big, we're going big. We are offering 3 different prizes this time. Emily has graciously donated these prizes out of her stash, and I could not be more pleased with what they are. So there are 3 large prizes that will be slid across the screen right here.
Exactly. Yep.
So make sure, if you enjoy this, tell a friend, tell your knitting pal, tell whoever. But the thing that counts is you got to link and subscribe. Okay. Exactly. So make sure you guys do that. Hit the little notification so that anytime we come on with a new episode, you'll be ready to go and you won't miss anything.
Yes. And by the way, sorry, Watson
agrees.
Yeah. the reason why we have such a push for 1,000 is because we literally cannot go live and do a live feed until we hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. And we have a lot of people that we would like to have join us live on YouTube and be able to chat with you at the same time. So if you want to see something like that actually come to fruition, let's make this happen, baby.
It's in your hands. Yes.
Yep. So thank you for that. And then what else did we have on there? Let's see.
Oh, you talked already about having the what am I trying to say? Oh, the new Facebook group for Between Knits and Pearls. And for those of you that don't know, we also have an Instagram account, so you can be looking for that as well for things with show notes or things that are happening, giveaways, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, and I wasn't able to change our website name until I pay to have a domain, and I can't afford that. So for now, our free website is flashing across your screen, and I put very detailed notes with links to all of all of Alex's designs will be linked, every single one, not just one. I'll have thumbnails of the pictures and everything on our website and blog post. Then let's see, we changed the name of our swap group on Ravelry.
Yep.
So
we're formerly in the group called For the Love of Minis, which is where we hold the 2 big mini skein swaps. Everything will still remain the same. We're still going to be hosting both of those swaps, one in July, one in December. Nothing will change there. We've just changed the name of the group, and you'll find more information now for the podcast in that group on Ravelry.
Yeah, which reminds me, Steph, we're going to need to open up the sign up for that soon, because we usually like to give people about 6 weeks to get their package together.
Yep. So be looking for the information for the Merry Everything and Happy Always in July, Cal.
Yes, that's so exciting. I love that one.
It is. It's a fun swap.
Alex, are you bored yet?
No.
Let's hurry and get the administration stuff out of the way.
No, this is great.
Okay. Well,
I'm going to check out your Ravelry page with your swap.
Yes, it's fun. It's so fun.
So a quick rundown. So, because Alex obviously doesn't know about this. So the 2 swaps we do a year, those are the mini Advent style swaps. However, we don't allow you to go buy yarn. You have to create the minis for your partner.
That's so
from
fun.
the set. Yes.
Yep.
Now, the Happy Everything and Always in July one, I always get the name wrong. You guys know. Whatever.
It's on there.
We have a budget of, I think last year we said was it $5 or no?
I think it was like $10. Really, the idea is not to go spend money, because we know that these Advents can cost upwards of several $100s.
Yeah.
I do not have that money, although I would love to put towards something like that. So we want to make it economical. So we do a halfway through the year mini skein swap. And then we do one in December as well. And they're both Advent style. So you get one little mini to open each day of the month. And then at the end, you get a large skein of fingering weight yarn. So it's super fun. If any of you guys are interested, find out in the Ravelry group. It's linked on Instagram. It's all over. So it's super fun.
I especially love the one in July because my birthday is July 24th. And so on the 25th day is when we get our big skein, and I've cheated here and I've opened it on my birthday because I'm not.
It's your birthday.
Yeah. So just so you know. But then the last thing we'll just announce is that my audio podcast, Little Cabin Knits, episode 8 of Embracing Imperfections is up. And just so Alex can see too, here is my beautiful, my beautiful broken jar.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I have all the pieces inside, and I'm hoping to get some people have told me this thing called E6000 glue would work. I've never heard of it, but I'm on the lookout, and I've very carefully kept all of my pieces so I can try and piece it back together. Technically, it's a cheap doodad, but
It's sentimental.
Yes.
It has a lot of soul.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Good deal.
So that is, I believe, oh, I forgot about the swap. I totally forgot, guys,
Oh,
to
yeah.
put the swap up on our Ravelry group to see if anybody was interested. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, $50, that's a crap ton of money for a swap. I just think that that's over the top. So, sorry. I'm happy that I did not post to see if anybody wanted to join in.
Yeah.
He's got a throat problem, guys. Sorry. He's okay. He doesn't have whooping cough.
I think $20 is reasonable. I always
Yeah.
tell everyone 20 is the new $1 bill.
Yeah. 20 to 25 around there.
Yeah.
And probably something, so I'll put it up on the new Ravelry group. So look for Between Knits and Pearls.
Yep.
And it'll just say Spring Swap. That'll be the title. And I promise you that I will have it up today.
Yes.
I just
So be
totally
looking
forgot.
for that. Yes.
Yes. And okay, that's the last little pearls. Okay.
Good deal.
Okay.
It's Alex's turn now.
Yes. So, Alex, why don't you tell us who the heck you are? Why I wanted you on the show? Can you read my mind? Do you know why I wanted you on the show? No, I'm kidding. Anyway.
I'm terrible at that game.
Tell us your knitting story.
Yeah.
My knitting story. So my grandma taught me how to knit. My grandma is amazing. She is really into embroidery, knitting, crocheting, beading. She does it all. It's amazing. She makes the most beautiful things. She'll make these like really big, beautiful embroidered pictures that she hangs on the wall. Just like really intricate, amazing work. And she taught me how to knit probably when I was like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6. But at the time, I'm from the Midwest, and the whole family gets together and watches football or NASCAR.
Yes.
And a lot of the ladies crochet. And so at the time I was also learning how to crochet. And so I first picked up crochet mostly. Knitting was kind of harder for me and my small hands and the dexterity. So I started doing a lot of crocheting. And then when I moved to Alaska, actually, I was living in Fairbanks in a dry cabin, which means I didn't have running water. And interestingly, I was far enough off. I was in the middle of Fairbanks, in the middle of town, but I was far enough off the road system that the internet providers said I was too far away to get internet. So I had nothing to do ever. And so I was like, I'm going to teach myself how to knit again. I had like got back into crocheting a little. Yeah. And so I, through YouTube on my phone, just my phone cell data plan, started learning how to knit again. And it's just like exploded from there. That kind of became my, like, especially with the stress of grad school and stuff, knitting was definitely a way for me to like feel like I was doing something and making something, but still be able to relax. And so ever since then, I just haven't put it down.
Wow.
And tell us a little bit about grad school and what you do.
So I am an entomologist. I work with insects. And so when I was in grad school, I was working with ants and parasitoid wasps and predatory wasps. They're these things, I know a lot of people don't know, parasitoid wasps, they're itty bitty and they can't sting. And most people probably never even like know they're there, but they're super beneficial in gardens. They actually lay their eggs or larvae inside or on the outside of another insect. And those larvae like aphids and caterpillars and stuff. And the larvae like eat it until it dies and then emerge as adults. It's amazing.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's disgusting, but like amazing at the same time. Okay. So cool.
I'll take your word for it. Just don't ever show me pictures of that, okay?
They're itty bitty. They're actually, and they're so beautiful and cute. Some of them, they're just like these tiny things. And some of them have like these pretty fairy wings and like these big funny antenna. And it's crazy. These like, some of them are really shiny. It's amazing. Wow. But they're itty bitty. They're like, they can fit just like on the tip of your finger. Some of them are so small.
Wow.
Well, I'm just thinking that this is ironic because moths, okay, so maybe you can give us a little wisdom about this because moths are traditionally the enemy of the knitter.
Yes.
So,
So have you had issues with them in Alaska? I
No,
haven't.
never.
Yeah, I haven't either. But yeah, definitely like clothes moths will eat fibers if when they're stored. That's why some people have to use mothballs. But up
Right.
here in Alaska, I've never had it. I don't have much experience with those because I've never really had issues with them.
Yeah, but do we even have them in Alaska? Do you know?
I would have to look on our museum database, but I'm sure people probably have brought them up, like
Yeah.
with with all the military coming up and they bring up the
Yeah.
like big conyxes and whatever. I'm sure that
Mhm.
people have found them in Alaska, but I doubt that they're breeding
Yeah.
outside. But
Yeah.
who knows? I'd have to look.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm. So, but just so everybody knows, please don't use actual mothballs. Use something like cedar or
Yeah.
lavender because the mothball smell is nigh on impossible to get out of your
Hand knits.
cloth and hand knits. Yeah,
Yeah.
please don't do that toxic stuff.
Lavender's awesome for that.
It really is. Yeah. And I love cedar.
Awesome.
I love
So-
cedar too. I think it smells really nice.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, I have it literally. You can get these. I'll link it in the show notes. But on Amazon, you can literally get little hangers with cedar wood blocks on them, and they're super cheap. But I literally just have them in between just my regular clothes in my closet. Yeah,
They're nice. Mhm.
yeah. So Alex, we've kind of alluded to you being a knitwear designer. However, before, well, okay, wait, knitwear, is that what we would call it?
I think that's what people call it.
Okay. But before we get into that, first off, I want to say that it's super ironic that one of your most beautiful patterns that I've ever seen is your sweater with the moth on it, is that called a heart?
Yeah, so the monarch is a butterfly. I've got one with a monarch and then one with a Luna moth, which is a moth,
That's it.
and then
Yeah.
one with a swallowtail.
Yes. And I was and as you were talking about, you studying moths and stuff, I started, it clicked in my head. Isn't that ironic that the moths are the enemy of the knitter? And she's even made a design with it.
Well, it's funny too. So just like entomologists, depending on the order of insect you study. So I work with the order Hymenoptera, which is like the ants, bees, and wasps. But there's like some entomologists, there's like this kind of like feud between the moth butterfly people, the Lepidopterus, and the Hymenopterus, and the people who study beetles. And it's like, it's kind of funny that like, yeah, sometimes there's kind of like, oh, you're one of those people, you're a moth person. And so it's super funny then that I have like, sometimes I'm like laugh at myself that I have these butterfly and moth designs. I'm like, oh, I've gone to the dark side.
Yep. And I
think
think
it's
now the beetles,
beautiful.
you're all parties,
Yes. I think it's really creative too that you've been able to take what you do and have a passion about and bring it into your knitting. I mean, that's hard to do for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's super rewarding for me and I really enjoy it. Like I like seeing insects on things. I think insects are really beautiful. And so my resolution for 2021 was to knit more insects. So I'm trying to branch out and get some more insect designs going because it takes me a lot more time than a lot of other stuff, but I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, you let me know when I can test knit some kids ladybug mittens.
Oh,
intense.
That's actually super funny that you say that because I have been working on some ladybug designs. So
yeah, I totally made that up off the top of my head.
Super funny. Called it.
I love it. That's awesome.
Oh, it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Well, and then you could do for me a mushroom with a beetle sitting on it. Oh no, a mushroom with a butterfly.
Oh,
No, okay, we're gonna stop giving her a list. But so I'm just curious, which came first for you? Design? No, obviously, I think you probably answered this because you said you were in school when you started knitting again. So, so then design came when? When did you first have an idea to try designing something?
it kind of like came together. So as I picked up knitting, there were a lot of, so especially I have a really petite frame, and I was finding that finding garments that fit me was really hard. And so, because often, they might start at like a 36-inch bust, and I actually have a 31-inch bust, which is quite a bit smaller than, than would be
most of the pattern
represented by a
sizes
normal
starts
pattern.
down.
Yeah. And so I started having to do a lot of modifying. And then I was at the point where I was modifying stuff where I'm like, I don't even have to modify someone else's pattern. I could just make my own. I could just make this fit me. So I started just playing around. It was a lot of, ripping out and restarting, but just trying to figure out how to make things fit me, how to make things how I like them for my body. And it was really fun for me to be able to do that. And then it just kind of took off from there, I guess.
Well,
they're really unique.
Yeah. And, this is very interesting because, for a long time now, at least a year, I'm thinking, we've been having this discussion in the knitting community about size inclusivity. But whenever we have that discussion, it seems to always go towards plus size women like myself.
Right.
And so now you're saying, and now you're bringing into awareness this whole other half of the spectrum. Like, what about those of us that have more petite frames? Like, obviously these knits aren't designed for us either.
Yeah.
So, now
it's probably easier too to modify down, because like, especially with a really petite frame, it is probably not as big of an issue as being inclusive upwards, because I don't have like a whole lot of shaping to do for the most part.
Sure,
like, the distance between waist and bust isn't as extreme, and so it's probably a little bit easier at the smaller end. But yeah, it can be really hard at the smaller end too to find patterns that fit.
Yeah. But it still does lend to the conversation being, it's not just for plus size. It really is all sizes. And even to go a step further, where you find men who are knitting and they see a beautiful Argyle sweater, but it's only knit or pattern knit written for women's shaping. All those things really play into it. And so I think that again is part of that conversation of more designers are really working hard to just encompass everybody having an option for a pattern.
Yeah, that conversation has been super interesting for me too. I like to read about it because some of it too has been like, so if you offer a pattern, from a 25-inch bust all the way to a 66-inch bust, but you only offer 5 sizes, really is that any more inclusive than, narrowing your range, but offering more options? And so it's been really interesting for me to look at kind of like, what is inclusive? Like, what do people need? What do people want? Kind of like within that range.
Yeah. And I can appreciate that too, because I don't know, I would hope that all designers consider that, but I don't think every designer considers that. And so I really appreciate that that's something that you have in the forefront of your mind when you are designing. That's really important, I think.
Yeah, it always makes me I'm an anxious person anyway, but I always feel anxious about it though too, because it's like, I really want to make things that fit everyone, but it's so hard for me, especially knowing that I am at the petite end of the spectrum, to try to say, do I really have any business designing things at the other end of the spectrum? And it makes me like self-conscious about it, but I still try to offer those sizes and spend a lot of time grading from other people's size charts and trying to make the proportions as best as I can.
And that's the beauty of test knitting, because you can say, hey, Emily, you take this size. Hey, Stephanie, you take this size, and I'll take this size. And between all three of us, hopefully we can figure it out.
Yeah. And to tell you the truth, Alex, I'm just going to go ahead and volunteer here. Anytime you need a plus size person to measure, my frame is still weird, because as I've told everybody, for instance, things like, this isn't unusual for plus size women, but my chest is at minimum 6 sizes bigger than my belly. But even with that, like, I have no hips. I don't really have a waist, although some people seem to think I do. It's really just the illusion that my boobage is giving, because the dramatic.
Yeah, proportions are not, they're not square and cut and put in a box by any means.
Exactly. So
and a lot of the sizing charts assume that you'll have a 2 or 3 inch difference between the bust and the waist. And so for you, Emily, having a 6-inch difference, you might be better off going with a smaller size and adding bust starts so that you don't end up with just like this loose sea of waist every time you try to fit based on the bust.
Yes, exactly. And, this week I have been, Steph, was it you who suggested I watch Amy Herzog's classes on Craftsy?
She's got a great tutorial on
Yeah.
really the nuts and bolts of everything.
Yeah, she has a great book too. I think I have it here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she really does.
Flatter book. She's
There
got,
you go.
yeah, great stuff about like bust darts and fitting the waist. Yeah, it's amazing how much information is in here.
Yeah. I'm going to go to Barnes and Noble this weekend and see if I just can't pick up a hard copy. But also, like, I just got in all of so I had my sweater yarn, but I just got in Jeremy's sweater yarn. And I'm like, I'm going to do what she talks about in her thing, which is truly knit and honest to goodness swatch. Because I am tired of not doing the pre-work, I guess it is, and then having things happen where I put in about 100 hours of knitting on a project and being disappointed in it in the end. And honestly, had nothing to do with you, Alex, everything to do with me because I didn't swatch.
I still feel so bad though.
7 inches too much. I have a solution. But okay, sorry. What am I holding up?
Alaska skirt.
That's right. Yes. It's so beautiful.
I love how squishy it turned out too. That's my favorite part.
Yeah. I actually was just talking to somebody on Facebook this morning because I posted on our new group about interviewing you today. Oh. And I've had quite a few people say that they want your patterns, which, by the way, people, if you follow us on Instagram,
yes,
Alex is offering a 15% off coupon good till next Friday. What's that date? I forget. The 12th.
Yeah.
But
please in order to take advantage of that, yes.
Yes. In order to get the coupon, you got to go to our Instagram page because I'm not announcing it on the show.
Good.
So, just so you know. But this lady wanted everything, especially the skirt, and I forget the name of it. Your sweater pattern where you've got the cabled. I think it's
Tidewater. I have that one here. I pulled it out as one of my favorite ones from the year. I don't know how well, if the lighting is coming through, how well.
Oh, there we go.
Is it color work or is it cables?
It's cables.
Beautiful.
I think the light is streaming through my window now.
We'll put a picture up for you.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that is simply absolutely stunning sweater, like, and so,
super classy.
Yeah. And
I actually started this one right as the pandemic was getting bad. I had cast it on, and then like the stress of the pandemic and everything, I was just like completely. When you're designing it, sometimes there's like a bit of decision making goes like, how do I want to take this next? And sometimes it just feels really like overwhelming, like the decision fatigue, like, oh, I just can't decide. So I just put it aside. I didn't touch it for like 7 months, and then finally picked it back up this fall and just like, boom, finished it. Like, just my brain, I guess, just needed that rest. And yeah.
Because it looks pretty darn complicated. I mean, because
it's really not.
Really? Because to me, cables that just are on a scarf going straight up are complicated, but you've got cabling going as you're increasing for the bust and the yoke and everything and radiating.
So they kind of like do the work for you. And the beautiful thing about these two is a lot of those cables, it's kind of like cheating. They don't really actually need a cable needle. You can kind of like knit through the next one and then knit through the one ahead, and it kind of twists it around for you, which makes it so much easier.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So just be prepared. Hopefully you'll be inundated. It's a good coupon for really well-written designs, because the thing about it is I've knit a couple of your designs. Where'd the other one go? The headband, the Aurora Borealis.
Dancing Aurora. Yep.
Dancing Aurora. Thank you.
Aurora Borealis name was already taken, so sometimes I have to get creative.
Well, And
Darn.
for me, mosaic knitting, I can't find it. It was just right here. Mosaic knitting is always, it's exciting for me, but also kind of a chore.
Mm-hmm. It takes more brain cells for me than color work.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I'll tell you guys a little secret. So her pattern is written very simply. On the Dancing Aurora headband, you need to be patient because this thing is a slow burn. Like it takes about probably, what would you say, 3 to 4 pattern repeats before you actually start getting it.
Yeah.
And so like from the head circumference I did was about, I think I did what you recommended, which was 7, I think. 7 or 8. See, I took
repeats.
I took the repeat pins out. Now I don't remember. Oh, here it is. So
I usually just measure, because people too, their gauge is always different. I try to base everything on inches as much as I can, or centimeters, rather than repeats, because I know that especially that row gauge is hard for people to match sometimes.
Yeah. And I mean, even here, you can see that I made a mistake.
Oops.
But I don't care. Unless I pointed out to you, you wouldn't know it. But do you guys see, like, I didn't do it in the colorways, that would create necessarily the Dancing Aurora effect, because the person
it's beautiful though.
Right?
Yeah.
It looks very much more Southwestern because I did this. But I just tell you, by like at first the first 3 repeats of it, I wasn't enjoying myself because I just kept on thinking I was messing up. But I trusted you and I trusted the process. And by the time I finished the 4th repeat, I was like, oh my gosh, it makes sense. This is working. And then I couldn't put it down. And so just so everybody knows, so you knit circular. So there is no wrong side on it.
Super cool.
Yeah, it's great. But I also wanted to say about sizing. I mentioned this in the last podcast, but so Alex is very good at size inclusivity. Like for the Alaska skirt, you have, is it 20 sizes?
Yeah, 21, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because it's such an easy design. I was like, because there's so little instruction to give for this, it's not going to be too confusing for me to expand that sizing out.
Okay.
And so it's like, in a sweater where you have to give the parentheses all the time with the number of sizes, that would be overwhelming, I think. But with this pattern, it's pretty much knit the same regardless of which size you choose. And so being able to just change the cast on amount made it much easier to offer a wide range of sizes. And it helped then too, because in some of them, the waist measurement overlaps, but the hip measurement doesn't. And so it made it a little bit easier so that people who had more or less hips could still find the right size for them.
Right. And that's why I wanted to point that out, is because of that. Like, I have no hips and no butt. So for me though, it was challenging because, again, of my personal perception of myself and my doubting myself when I measure myself. Like, that can't be right. Let's add a few inches. So that's what happened here too. Plus my gauge was off, so that made it worse. But I want to point out that Alex is saying that the pattern itself is simple. I just want to point out that I had multiple things on all of on the 2 patterns that I've knit so far that have been brand new to me. And so I've learned new techniques, things like how to catch an elastic band in there. Plus, this was a perfect finally getting the hang of brioche project for me. So if you're struggling with a brioche project, I would highly recommend this, because there is no shaping, there's no decreases or increases. And look, I'm a novice, and I figured out how to change the, what do they call it? The dominant color.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Right? So
I love the stripes. I really wanted to make a stripy one. So I love that you did, so I can see what it looks like. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So I can't wait. So just so everybody knows, oh, well, no, never mind, because that's in knits. Never mind. Stop, Emily. Okay.
You know what? Let's go right into that if that's what you want.
Yeah. Well, but before we do that, Alex, do you have any patterns in particular you want to showcase?
Some of the ones I had pulled out to showcase, we have talked about. Trying to think. A lot of the ones I was really excited about when I was reading through your list are ones that I didn't actually even design. There were some of my like favorite designers, favorite FOs, stuff like that. And so I've got some of those pulled out.
So you did allude to a few things coming up. Can you tell us or give us a sneak idea of what's coming maybe?
Oh,
I
yeah,
put it over
girl.
here.
As a little teaser for those people that are going to get to your, site and want all the patterns and think, oh, I wonder what she's got next coming up, or, what have you.
So I have 2 patterns right now. Oh, whoops. You're good. I have 2 patterns right now that are being test knit. So with my 2021 goals of knitting more insects, I have a beetle cowl coming up. That light is getting to me, I think, again.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Do you have
Yeah.
the gold one? Maybe the
What's
gold
that?
one. Do you have
Maybe
the
the
gold
gold one?
sample? That might work better.
This one I've got ready already. The stag beetle cowl.
Oh, so this is different. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
So I've got one with stag beetles. And this
Very
one is with
cool.
scarab beetles. So like dung beetles. I don't know if you've seen scarab beetles. I love scarab beetles.
I'll put the
And so-
picture across the screen, guys.
Yeah, so I've been super excited. I've been working on those. I also currently have being test knit a sweater. I wanted to do like a honeycomb sweater. And so
Oh, man.
not like a true honeycomb. As much as I love the honeycomb texture, the thought of cabling an entire sweater,
Right.
every other row, I was like, okay, I can't do that. But I
Yeah.
did find this wonderful pattern. It's like a clever mix of slip stitches and purls to kind of tighten up the, kind of give that illusion, I guess, of a honeycomb. And so I'm super excited about that. This one's currently being test knit right now and should be ready
Nice.
next month, I think.
I
Wow.
like it.
So that's what's been going on here.
Very exciting. So we've got a lot to look forward to
Yes.
from patterns. Okay, good job. Awesome. That's great.
Well, and just as you've been talking about those things, I've been pulling out questions from our question jar. And you have been answering, like, of the ones
She's doing fantastic, ladies and
Mhm.
gentlemen. Round of applause.
Yes. But the one that actually, I think you did answer this one because I just said, because you were just talking about these things. What are you dreaming of knitting in 2021? And you talked about including your,
Yes, insects.
work. Yeah, sorry. I wanted to say
Sorry,
the
I feel like this
scientific
has been like the bug show.
No, it's awesome. Well, see, and we've got a bunny back here and we've got Watson here, so we're okay,
You're doing good. You're doing good.
Well, okay, so let me ask you one of the simpler questions that hasn't been asked. What do you drink when you're knitting?
Ooh.
Mhm.
So I drink a lot of tea if it's earlier in the day. I love to drink wine. My husband and I like to buy those big wine kits and ferment it ourselves at home and bottle it. It's so fun.
Yes.
So lots of red wine, but you got to be a little bit careful what you're knitting when you're drinking wine, just because there have been times like the Tidewater tea. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to go back 3 rows the next morning.
Yes.
Like, what have I done? But yeah, for the most part.
Yes.
WeU Knits Vintage 2015.
Yeah,
That's what's in your cup tonight.
That is so
I know it. It's funny too. On this sweater, I've got a couple areas where my tension was really tight. My purl tension. I was really strangling my pearls, and I'm like, oh, what was I doing that night? It's either
I love
stress
that.
knitting or red wine knitting.
That's right.
Yep. Okay, so then for you, when you are knitting, not your own pattern or anything like that, just for fun, what do you gravitate more towards? What type of project?
I really love making shawls. I try not to make too many of them because I like to wear them as a scarf here in Alaska, but a lot of times they're not very warm.
Yeah.
But some people just make the most beautiful shawls, and it's so fun to sit down and work on some lace. Or even last year, a couple years now, I finished the Dreambird. I picked these projects where I'm like, wow, I am never going to finish something like that. It's these gorgeous feathers.
Yes.
It was so much concentration and so much work, but now that it's done, I'm like, one, I'll probably never want to make this again, but I'm so glad I made it once.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how this person even came up with this design. It's
I know, right?
to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
What was it was it 2010 or somewhere around there when it came out, and it just everybody.
Oh,
Yeah.
And even back then I was just like, ain't no way I could do that. No. So kudos to you, my friend.
It was that was back when I didn't have internet in Fairbanks. So
there you go. No distractions.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I completely agree with you. I find that really frustrating because I knit these beautiful shawls and I fully expect them to keep me warm when I go out walking the dog and stuff. But they never do because they're so drapey.
Yeah.
That they never protect the area that we need them to. So, for instance, I've been thinking about knitting your is it wildflower cowl?
Yeah.
Out of my leftover swatch knitting yarn from, what is this? Malabrigo, right? No.
Or Mad Tosh.
Madeline-Tosh, thank you. I was like, MT, that doesn't make sense. And I am really excited about doing it. And yet I know that even that is not going to be a deep winter project.
Yeah.
Spring breakup season, sure. But yeah. So for all of you, by the way, do you really knit? Do you design any shawls and stuff?
I have one. I made one for my wedding. I just pulled it out of my bin here. So I made this one for my wedding out of mohair.
Oh, beautiful.
And then we got married during the pandemic, and so we didn't really have family or anyone there. We had one of his friends officiate, and his fiance, who is also one of our friends, his fiance, the two of them are a couple. They came with us. We took a boat out to the glacier, Knik Glacier, and so they took pictures for us. They were our photographer, our officiator, all that kind of stuff. But we ended up going the night before because it was calling for like 50-mile-an-hour winds and pouring rain. So we went the night before in the pouring rain, and I was like, I don't think I want to wear my mohair shawl in the rain.
No.
And so I didn't even wear it for my wedding. So now I have this like shawl that I'm like, oh, I love it so much because it reminds me of my wedding. But I didn't even get to wear it to my wedding. And it came with it stayed in a plastic bag.
Oh. Yeah. It could be your 1-year anniversary photos.
And we still need to go visit family. So
perfect.
Yeah. So you will still have opportunities to celebrate your wedding. Just make sure the family realizes like guys, come on. Let's
it's a lot of work to do that. Yeah.
So
good for you.
Yeah. I'm thinking about knitting a shawl for my wedding too, but I want it to be am I right, Steph? It's a half shawl, what I was talking to you about before, the square shawls from the Shetland Isles or something like that.
I think so. A half shawl, I think, is a square, because a pie is the half of the circle, and yeah.
So I've been looking at those. So if you want to talk to me about design ideas, I mean, sweetheart, I'm here for you. No, I'm kidding. Added to her list, right, Steph?
Yeah. I was just going to say, how many things is Emily going to do?
Yeah. Yep. You're going to be my personal designer. No. Okay.
I would love to help you put something together.
All of you guys watching, I am not that pompous. I swear. I swear.
I think everyone knows that.
Okay.
But if you find a stitch pattern you want that you like for your shawl and you just want some help figuring out how many repeats or how to put it together, I'm happy to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the moment, I'm leaning more towards knitting something like the quill shawl, because that's fluff in the air. That's the one that is calling my name. But
Which one is the quill shawl? Do you remember who does that one?
Let me look it up. You guys keep talking. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, she texted me and she said, I'm thinking rectangle, I'm thinking this, and and I think it's one of those things that's so personal. You really, especially for something like a wedding, you want it to meet all the criteria. And she literally said, I'm looking for this, 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 and this. And I said, well, give yourself some time, because you don't want to rush into it, not like it, get halfway, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You really want to be sold on the idea that this is what I really am thinking,
Yeah, that's a great advice.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you want to know something terrible? I don't know that
Do you have your dress picked out yet?
Oh, girls, when I was going through my divorce, I went shopping with the girlfriend at the mall, and we were in Torrid, and in their bargain bin, they had my dream wedding gown. That wasn't a wedding gown at all, but it's pure lace over a slip. And I've now lost too much weight for it to fit me properly, but it cost me like $12.
You can have it altered. Yeah.
Huh? You could always have that altered, especially if you're smaller, they can always shrink it in.
Less fabric.
Exactly. And my niece and my sister have already said that they will do that for me. And so
good.
We're covered. But
I love that.
Yeah. So but the thing is, since it's going to be outside, I'm just going to be wearing it for the ceremony, and then we're changing into hand knits. Like stuff. So
that Emily's going to knit before the wedding.
Yep.
Keep razzing her about this. It's terrible.
I know.
I know.
I can't remember my password to Ravelry because I changed it when I changed my username. And now
we'll put it in the show notes if people are interested in seeing some of the lace ideas, for sure.
Yes.
Awesome.
But, okay. So before we move on to just knits, Alex, was there any of the questions that I allowed you to preview that you particularly felt drawn to answering? Oh, she's
looking at him real quick. Yep.
She's cheating, folks.
That's all right. It's a hard thing to choose.
Oh, and if I could knit a legacy project, I actually have a legacy project that I have not started. Do you guys remember that Celesterium shawl? It's a round shawl. It's knit in a circle, and there's little yarn overs and beads put for each of the stars. Like it's like a whole the star chart. I'm like, I bought the yarn for it probably like 8 years ago. I haven't started it, but I'm just like, I'm just kind of like dreading the miles of stockinette. But in my mind, I'm like, someday I need to make that shawl.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, no time like the present, right?
Right.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's one of those things where you got to decide, like, are you going to pre-string your beads on the yarn? Because that's going to put wear and tear on the yarn. Or is it the floss method or something like that, where you put on the beads at the time?
I would recommend not. When I did my legacy piece for my mother-in-law, I did the Even Star, excuse me.
That's right, you did.
Shawl. It's a big circumference circle, and the entire outside border is an applied border with beads. And I'm telling you what, I have never seen a crochet hook this small, but it was so much easier to just do the crochet hook, grab that loop, put it on, and go. Grab it.
Yeah.
So much easier to do it that way than pre-strung. I mean, again, do what you will, but it was my saving grace to getting it done for sure.
Yeah. I've done a shawl with the bigger, is it the E-beads, the 6/0 E-beads? You can use the crochet hook. And I love that. If you use the 8/0 seed beads, I had started that shipwreck shawl, another knit that I started. Yeah, I started that, and it has the pre-strung beads and all those little yarn over nettings. I started that probably 4 years ago, and it has been in the closet for 3 of those 4 years. I'm over halfway done, and it's just the constant yarn over, knit two together, yarn over, knit together, put the bead on, that I just like can't get myself to do it. One day I will, but it's
you will.
Another one. The pre-strung beads though, and it's like then my little balls of yarn are only 50 grams. And so you string all those beads on,
Oh,
and then you get to join another ball, and you're like, shoot, I got to take these off and put them onto another ball. And
Oh, wow.
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
And you're constantly sliding all the time, sliding the beads down the whole, because you try to put them all on at the start so you don't have to break the yarn.
Right.
And then constantly as you go, moving all those beads down just to get more working yarn. And
but it's worth the price to find that teeny little crochet hook. It's so much more.
Well, and when you're done with a shawl like that, I mean, it's not just a showpiece. You could actually hurt somebody with that thing.
Yeah.
Like a
it's like you said, it is a legacy piece. That is something, I told my mother-in-law, when you pass on, it better come back to me.
Oh,
write that in your will.
She did. She was so sweet about it. She said, "Oh, of course." But it's just so cool. Knitting something like that for her, knowing that it was for when my father-in-law had passed, it just gave me such joy to knit what I consider a legacy piece. It was so cool to do that for someone. So,
and such like a show of love.
For sure.
Put that much time in. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and Steph very much does this all the time. I mean, talk about legacy pieces. I think every Christmas sweater for the girls and the way you document that, I mean,
it's been fun.
Yeah.
I
hope you keep up the momentum through college, because that would
be so. I hope they still like hand-knit sweaters.
I know, right? We're pre-planning your knitting through 2040 or something like that. I don't know.
I know.
Anyway. Well, thank you for sharing that, Alex. And I don't know about you girls, but I need a drink refill. So would you guys be okay if we paused for a moment and
that
then
sounds great.
Did knits?
So how about this? We'll see you on the next side.
There we go. All right, guys, thank you for letting us take a short break. We're back now with the beautiful We You Knits, Alex of Alaska, the designer. And we've gone on ad nauseum about her designs, and actually not ad nauseum, because I mean, we could go on for hours longer. So just saying. So why don't we get into the knits section? Who wants to, Steph, do you want to go first? Let's go with FOs first. How about that? Do you have any FOs?
This week, I'm really trying to finish up some of my bigger knits. And so I'm at the home stretch of things. So I don't quite have any FOs, but if you guys have some, I'd love to see them.
Oh, okay. Well, then you guys already heard about this one. Mm-hmm. So the last thing I'll say is it was knit in Dream in Color Classy in 2 different colors. So the grayish blue one, I have no idea what color it is. It's just been in my stash forever. It was probably even a gift. And when gifted, didn't have a tag. But this is not, so as we said, this was way too big on me. But hope is not lost, because my niece came up with the most perfect solution. She was just like, well, did you tack the elastic down in the waistband, or is it just in there loose? And I said, well, it's just in there loose. She goes, well, we just need to find the end and cinch it up.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
We're going to do that this weekend. I mean, look at this, guys. I mean, it's bigger than my shoulders. But again, please know that that's an Emily thing, not a pattern design flaw. Okay. And I just can't wait. So we're going to do that. And then I'm going to block it and get to wearing it. So,
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Alex, do you have any FOs for this week?
I think we've talked about most of my most recent FOs this week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My goodness. Well, so the 2 cowls then?
Yeah, my cowls and my sweater, that honeycomb sweater, are my 2 that are my most recent finished.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
I know we're not in the interview part anymore, but I just got to ask, do you ever just get tired of always working on, checking your own designs and knitting your own designs?
Yeah, like especially some of the math and the decision making, just like how do I want this to go, can get really fatiguing. I do have a project that sometimes I work on when I'm in between stuff and I don't want to think. I have that Q shift Afghan from Knit Picks.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Ooh, good one.
oops, that's the wrong side. So just sometimes if I need something, this project, I've been working on it for like since 2019, I think. So just, if I ever just need a break, sometimes, I just really want to knit, but I want it to be relaxing. I don't want to have to think. I don't want to have to make decisions. I don't want to do math. And so sometimes I'll just pull this out if I don't want to have to be creating something, I guess.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, by the way.
Yes, I love that pattern. Oh,
yeah. Well, guys,
the way all the colors play together, it's just amazing.
Yeah. And the way it's going to gradiate across your bed. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a neat kit.
Or the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought worsted yarn for it because I wanted it to be a little bit bigger. So I'm knitting it with their Brava worsted. They sell it with the Brava Sport. So I bought it with worsted and I'm using a little bit bigger needle because I wanted it to be just a little bit bigger.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Nice. And I love how economical they are. I just obviously I'm a fan of knit picks, as is Stephanie.
Yeah,
me too. A lot of my designs are made with knit picks because it's definitely super affordable.
Yep. Well, guys, the only other things that I've got a couple things really, really fast. So I have knit up over 100 of my ear saver designs. Here's a couple of them that I've designed. Those
are so cute.
Yeah. And the clover, the clover ones are the ones that made everybody start getting all up in arms about things, because for some odd reason, this represented somebody being a wuss, that they would be wearing this.
Oh.
Yeah. Interesting. And
it's also almost St. Patrick's Day.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And do you know how difficult it was to figure out? I am not a designer and I am not a crocheter, but I figured out how to make this work.
It sounds like you are a designer and a crocheter then.
Well, it's easier. It's easier on crochet. And then there's some fails in here. Like, okay, can you guys see the crochet? Okay, hold on. Can you see where the cable went wrong on the crochet?
It's a design element.
Yep. But the friend that I crocheted this for, she's just like, I don't care. I think it's gorgeous.
Hey, as long as it's functional, that's for sure.
Yeah. But these ones are my absolute favorite.
Those are fun.
Those are so pretty.
Yeah.
Good job.
And nobody buys these ones. Everybody buys them. Oh well. And then I got my knitting machine in, my Centro knitting machine in, and it came in with 4 little skeins of yarn. So I practiced on that and I just literally cranked them all out. So they're all different weights, but I made it into a hat that's actually really freaking fun. So this is the Aran weight, pink, and then the dark pink is the sport weight. Yep. And then if I flip it inside out, the brown
that looks so cozy.
The worsted, yes. And I'll post pictures of it up here of me wearing it. And this is the bulky weight, blue. Yes. Yeah. This morning I tried cranking out a hat using Woolies Thick and Quick, and I almost broke my machine, my brand new machine.
It needs between like sport and light worsted.
Yep. Although, to tell you the truth, I've got a leftover skein of fingering weight here. And I'm just curious what would happen.
Why not?
Yeah. So I'm actually going to leave that out so I don't forget. But then I got out my fisherman's wool and I tried doing a double brim design. And that came out pretty good. I need to tweak some things on it. It looks disgusting like this.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well,
I think that looks cute.
It definitely gives a different look with the double lined hat. There's no dot. It is.
When this thing is on, like I'll put a picture.
Yeah.
Like I look stunning.
They're very fun. They're really unique. Mm-hmm.
And then I knit this one, which I ended up accidentally sewing. It was a double layer, but I accidentally sewed it up so that
the pearl side. Hey, that's cute too, though.
Yeah. So, but the long and the short of it is I don't like these. So these are no longer going to be wedding favors.
Oh,
But
You have
I'm
saved yourself a lot of trouble, my dear.
yes.
Yeah. Oh, and just so you guys know, so I was really frustrated because when when these hats come off the loom, the stitches are really far apart and really wide, and it looks wonky. So I soaked it, and then I laid these hats out to dry overnight. But then even this morning, I was like, I still don't like it. So I was like, you know what? I don't care. These are just samples. I'm just having fun. I'll just throw them on the low heat setting in the dryer and see what happens. And at least for Lion Brand Fisherman Whirl, it worked.
And I'll tell you, they're super great. When I had my central knitting machine, I actually, I donated it to the library where we used to live and where we would knit with my knitting ladies every week. We would do it for charity knitting, and it literally was scraps. I mean, it could be 900 different colors, but we hung it on the trees outside so that people could, it's called the warming tree, and people could freely take the hats that were on there. So again, it's awesome for a charity knit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's more what I'm thinking about doing from now on. Like these 3, I'm thinking will definitely be donated to the domestic shop that my organization runs. So
nothing wrong with that.
Yep. So those are my, oh no, it's not. Oh my gosh. I forgot. I finished my socks, but I can't find it.
Oh, good job.
I can't find one of them.
Oh, it's okay. They look cute though.
But they look cute. And I haven't cast on a new pair of socks, and I'm telling you right now as we're recording, I'm really feeling the lack. So I need to do that.
Always got to have one on the needles.
Yep. I've got this beautiful skein that I ripped out of a project that I thought did not work. And I might just go, actually Jeremy ripped it out and he wound it up way too tight. So I got to loosen up. I'm going to recake it and loosen it. Yeah.
It was so nice of him to help though.
I know, right? He's just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Oh, I just pulled this string. I can do that. And he was so sweet. It's just wonderful.
Always helping.
Yep. And the last thing I did was I knit up tiny little swatches of my yarns that I picked out for which one are we missing? I think we're missing this one.
Yep.
For my wedding. And I've got 2 friends that are dyers, independent dyers, that I'm going to send them the swatches to.
Yeah.
And they're going to come up with colorways for us.
Fun. That's fun.
So, and I knit up a 3rd set for me to just put in my wedding.
Yeah. As like a little remembrance. Yeah.
Yes.
So, that's cool.
So those are my FOs.
There you go. Alex,
right.
What are you currently working on?
I am currently working on a sweater with a ladybug. I don't have very much of it. Don't have very much of it going right now. It's just the top of the sweater, but I'm hoping to be able to put ladybugs around the yoke.
Are you going to do it for child size?
I should. I really should.
That's cute.
I was making it for me, but definitely we'll have to think about looking at how they make child size ones, what kind of shaping goes into that.
That'd be, they're very easy. They're just little boxes.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? No,
that's
good to know. Little box, and as they get bigger, they just get a little wider, a little longer, and the arms get longer. That's really all.
So there you go.
Yeah.
But that sounds gorgeous. What yarn are you using for your prototype?
This one actually is Bad Sheep yarn from that lady in North Pole.
Yep, that's who I'm going to send some of the stuff to. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. She is so sweet. Whoops, it's not showing her little symbol there, but yeah, she makes lovely yarn. She's super sweet. So yeah, I have this bad habit of buying yarn without having a project in mind. And so I bought this like over a year ago, and I'm like, I love that, and I will find something for it eventually. I just had to wait for it to tell me what it wanted to be.
Yep. Yeah. Honestly, hint, you should hit her up to try and do a collaboration with her.
Ooh, that could be fun. A kit for your
that might be fun.
I'm just saying, whatever. Well, that's exciting. So do you have, I try and put deadlines on my knits. What about you? Do you do that? Well, but you're designing all the time. So I guess maybe you got.
Yeah, it's its own deadline, really.
Yeah. And as things come up, I sometimes knit sit. A lot of times I try to knit kind of fast because I'm excited about it. And so I don't really need a deadline because I can usually get through it pretty fast because I'm pretty motivated to want to finish it. But yeah, then some stuff though too comes up, like my Tidewater tee where I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I can't work on this right now. You need to take a time out.
And you got to have that awareness of yourself too, and be okay with it.
Yep.
You know? Yeah. Well done you for that. Right. Miss Steph, how about whips for you?
Mine are all in progress this week. I have my knit pick sock here. Getting ready to
that's
put
beautiful.
a toe in. This is if I'm saying it right, the Vanilla Bean pattern by Emily O'Grady. And it's more of a recipe. It's free online on Ravelry. And it literally, it's the neatest thing. Once you get to the color change in your self-striping yarn, you just start slip one, knit one, slip one, knit one, until you come all the way around in the circumference. And that's what gives it such a fun little look.
That's so cool.
It is. I've done this one, gosh, I don't even know how many times, but yeah, self-striping yarn, can't get away from it.
But I mean, that just gives it that extra little element so that it breaks up the plain sock knitting of striping, right?
It does. It's so fun, and it keeps you intrigued enough. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the other thing I'm still cranking away on is my dark water sweater.
It's so gorgeous.
That is beautiful.
A sleeve, though. I have a sleeve.
Oh my gosh, you're ahead of me now.
Am I?
Oh yes. I'm on sleeve island.
This part went so quick, and now it's the miles and miles of stockinette that are getting to me. But like I said, I've got of course you can see all my little clips there hanging off, but got my cuff. It joined really nicely. And so I just am ready to pick up underarm stitches on this side and get going. So I'm anxious to have this one done and to put it on and wear it. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. So, especially
that's so beautiful.
80 degrees.
Right? It'll be fun. Yeah, before it gets too warm and I have to put it away anyway. But
yeah. It really, and I remember when you were picking out the yarn for that, you were worried that yeah.
I was worried because I thought, number one, it's an undyed base with then like the purple flecks on top of it. And I thought, oh man, with my skin tone, I just don't know if I can pull that off. And so far, so good. But then it's a light contrast to a dark colored colorway. I mean, the color work. I hadn't ever done that before. So I'm super pleased with it. So yeah. And this is by Knit Love Wool. This is her dark water pattern. So
yeah, she makes the most beautiful yokes.
Oh, she does. She does. I'm plugging away. So hopefully 2 finishes for next time. That's my goal.
Yep. Well, that's where I'm at on mine, guys. So there's not much to tell. I am just on a sleeve. Yeah. The only thing I will say about this is that I did go down 1 needle size to knit my sleeve because I didn't want to go down stitch count.
And I think that's a smart way to do that.
Yeah. And the sleeve is fitting me perfectly. So good. That's really great. So I just, the only thing is that I'm knitting it on one of those, the ones you like, the 9-inch circulars.
But mine don't have a bend in it.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, mine don't either.
Yeah. Really? Did I get a weird one? Do you guys see that?
No, I think it's just, sometimes it's the way that they are. I don't know. I think the larger the needle, then they have the bend in it. Because the little small guys, like for sock knitting, they're straight.
And they're shorter. They're not, maybe the bend makes it so that you have more to hold on to. Because I've heard of people complaining that there's like not enough to hold on to with those little circulars sometimes.
They are teeny.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But I mean, it is, so I have, in case everybody doesn't know this, I've got a really severely pinched nerve in my neck. However, just so you guys know, in PT this week, she taught me something that has really helped me. If you put the palm of your hand between the top two of your ribs here.
Mhm.
And this is now this is the side that hurts for me. So I'm using the
Right.
opposite hand, putting it here. And then I put my other hand on top, and then I just lightly press it. See, it just popped.
Oh, how
I
random.
barely did anything. And it pops it. And immediately there's this incredible relief, and I can keep knitting. There you go.
Take that
So-
one to the bank.
Yeah.
But just remember, we are not professionals.
Right. We're
And-
not giving medical advice here.
Nope. So if you want to use that method, please, please, please make sure
Yes.
that you learn it correctly.
Yes.
So,
Talk with your
disclaimer.
physical therapist first.
Yep. So what about, oh my gosh, I forgot. Hold on. We can't go forward without talking about the new Alaska skirt.
Oh,
Oh,
the one you recast on.
Yes.
Yep. New colors.
So this is
beautiful.
now, okay, so Alex, okay, let's compare. Sorry, you guys probably don't know that quote. That's from Trapped in Paradise, a movie from the 80s. But let's see here.
Yeah,
They're-
it's significantly.
Big difference.
I can't even hold up the other one.
I
mean,
think
for
you'll be
heaven's
so
sakes.
pleased with the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And the colors are so striking. Like, I don't even care if they don't necessarily go together. I love
Oh, they
it.
go together.
They
Yeah,
do?
pretty.
Okay.
I
So
say
this
everything goes together though.
I know, right?
It's color.
So these are so when I used to dye yarn, Andrews Mill Knits, way back in the day, this was two of my bases, my worsted base, American wool with silk in it. This is a colorway I specially dyed up for my friend Annie, who owns Far North Yarn Company. And this
Oh,
one is one of mine. So
Nice.
I don't remember what I called this. I don't know if I ever even sold it. So who
Well,
knows?
it's working now.
Yes. So that's what I'm knitting on. What about you, Alex?
what yarn or what pattern?
Everything.
Everything. The pattern is just the ladybug I've been working on.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you already talked
The
about
bad
that.
sheep. Yep.
That takes a lot of focus though.
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
And it just sounds, I'm sorry, it just sounds exhausting. So kudos to you for taking
Yeah.
it on.
Yeah.
It is
Because-
exhausting, but like I like making things for me. The exhausting part sometimes is the
All the math.
getting it, all the math, and I'm always like doubting myself with the math too. Like I grade
Yeah.
from size charts, but I'm constantly like worried it's not going to fit someone and they're not going to like it. So
Yeah.
a lot of times
Yeah.
after I grade it out, it takes me sometimes over a month before I'm willing to like put it out there. But
Mhm.
Good job. That's
I-
awesome.
I mean, it takes a lot of courage to do it. So
Yeah,
well
It
done.
does.
well, thank
And-
you.
So, well, okay. So our last segment is usually tossing wool.
Yeah.
And we're not really doing that this week. I am just gonna say one thing for all of you who are in places like Alaska that gets pretty dark
Oh
at
yeah.
night, and you need something to help you see your knitting. I purchased this last week a neck light,
Oh,
and I've been using this nonstop, and it's so comfortable. And so there's
I've heard good things.
Yes, they're super affordable on
Yeah.
Amazon, and they come in girly colors.
can you charge it or do you have to put batteries in?
Yep, it has a charging port at the back.
Nice.
That's so
Very
cool.
cool.
Yeah, Jeremy loves it so much now he wants one, and I'm like, for what? You don't knit. It's just like, I just want one, okay?
Just buy him a headlamp. He'll be a happy man.
There you go.
That's what I knit with. I'm sitting there with a headlamp
Yeah.
on like I'm cave exploring.
Yes.
But see, that always hurts my head, and so
Oh,
I heard about the neck lamp, and I just had to get it. So
Yeah, that's super smart.
Yeah. Well, Alex, I know we kind of
Yes.
rushed through this last little bit, but I really want to thank you for your time today. I want to thank you for sharing your talent with all of us. And remember, guys, that if you want to get the coupon code for her patterns on Ravelry, please go over to Instagram and follow Between Knits and Purls.
Yep.
And you'll see a post there with all of her, the codes and everything there. And you can start knitting away on your own Alaska skirt or Tidewater sweater or Scarab beetle. Wait, that one's not out. No, wait.
Be looking for all of her new patterns to come.
Yes.
And thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you,
so
Alex. It's been a great time.
Yep. Okay, guys, now keep on knitting and remember, Miss Stephanie, what do they remember?
Until next time, remember that life happens between knits and purls.